Hey everyone, welcome back. Something a little bit different, or a lot different, depending on your perspective. This was one that's been sitting in the stash for a while. It was half built. It was my son's, and I'm in that zone, which I think most of you will be very familiar with, where I want to buy some new stuff, but I'm not going to do it until I get rid of some of the old stuff. The stash has gotten a bit out of control over the last few years. So this was one of those ones which I sort of scraped around and rummaged around and I was like, what's this? And I opened the box. It's partly done, essentially the torso and the head and one leg, as you can see. The thing is about these kits, and I know most of you are here for the planes, but I've actually enjoyed just doing something different. And the thing about whenever you do something different, you learn new things and maybe just get a bit of different perspective. These kits themselves, they're actually very sophisticated. I can't tell you I'm really huge into Star Wars, but I've watched the movies obviously and so on, like everyone else. I've been watching them off and on, but that's about the limit of it. And to be honest, this isn't even a kit that I could see myself going out of the way buying. But having said that, I've enjoyed it. And like the Millennium Falcon I did last year, one thing I'd say is if you've never done any of these kits and you do get a chance even to have a look at them, it's really quite remarkable. The molding and tooling and just the engineering of these is really quite sophisticated. It almost makes some of the current, kits that we deal with or put up with as modelers look quite primitive. These are very sophisticated. People talk about, say, Tamiya, shake and bake and so on. These are beyond that. Yeah, the molding is probably the best you're going to get. And of course, it's a different intention in that sense. This is almost like, it's like a Lego ABS plastic. It is a much better quality than PVC. Someone will know the technicalities on that. So if you do, definitely, put it in the comments. I'm guessing, I think it is an ABS. Simplistically, it's like Lego to me. Even little details like this, where there's arrow markers or pointers to show you which way these joints or sockets connect together so that you get them the right way. Really quite amazing. And as I say, it's just good to see what the other side of town gets up to sometimes. And I don't know much about all that Gundam and so on, but from what I've seen, similar. It's that sort of quality, I suppose. One other thing I would say, mentioning that, and it just reminds me, the other year I did have a look at, I can't remember who, some woman, she was doing the Gundam stuff, but she had a video on how to essentially polish out cut marks and do that really super detail polishing on the plastic. And my point there is, not to dismiss things you maybe wouldn't necessarily go have a look at, because at the end of the day, it's plastic modeling, but they're coming at it from a different angle. So again, I'm not professing to know too much about that sci-fi sort of world as such. As most of you know, I tend to be more on the historical side, but not only do you learn some new things, but you can sometimes pick up some new techniques. I'm not going to exaggerate and say I learned huge things about this, but it was one of those ones where you do build it and you're kind of like, this is really pretty sweet. Just like I say, the quality of the tooling. The only thing I would say, and this is probably 90% on me because I'm just not that familiar with doing this style of kit. The instructions I did find a little bit complicated. In the first instance, I did sort of, resort to my glue. As you can see there in the background. I almost treated it like any other kit build, but then I quickly become a bit cautious that I was going to glue the wrong thing and really stuff it up that way. So then I dropped the glue, well, not dropped, but canned that plan, let's say, and just press fit. And I've used glue sparingly in a few parts where maybe the fit wasn't exact. You can see there, even on that shoulder plate, I was cautious enough that I wasn't going to go clipping off things I didn't know. And I think this is an interesting point because it applies to planes, cars, boats, ships, whatever you're into. It's about having a bit of familiarity with the subject matter. In the first instance, I was cautious of going clipping things that I don't know what I'm clipping off. And so that's why I point out that subject matter. If it's a Spitfire or something very different, you just get that feel for it as much as anything, where you can go and what to do. But you can see that really highly polished, ABS, I'm guessing. That reminds me, do hit me up in the comments. Always makes a big difference. YouTube doesn't think I'm dead if it sees people interacting. And from my point of view, I enjoy the comments because I learn a fair bit. There's plenty of you out there that are going to know way more about these kits than me, that's for sure. So from my point of view, it helps me learn, and I think it is useful to everyone. Like I say, I'm quite a fan for doing something different. So if you're looking for the planes and so on, don't worry, there's still plenty of that to come. I haven't jumped ship in that sense. But do expect to see occasional different things crop up. I think I would go a bit crazy if I had to just do planes for two reasons. One, I never really like being told what to do, so that's not going to work. And you just, I don't think it's even really healthy to be that focused. So for example, I've got some ships and cars there. I did see some motorcycles, which I haven't done a motorcycle since I was about 14. 16, I had a motorcycle. 18, after an incident, let's say, I decided, no, that's enough of the motorcycles. But from building kits and so on, there's a lot I'd like to do over the coming, I was going to say years, but lots and lots of decades. Good to be optimistic. But these kits, they're really pretty sweet. The only complaint that I would have, and I noticed this with the Millennium Falcon, I don't like the stickers. Apparently there are waterslide decals around. The stickers are pretty clunky, but that almost comes to a point that I think, as me well and truly beyond my teenage years, let's say, it's easy to forget that a lot of these kits that we obsess over as old men, generally old men anyway, they were never designed for bored old men to be doing. Like I just did another Spitfire, a Mark 19 Airfix, which will be coming up in the next couple of weeks. Really nice little kit, but at the end of the day, a 1/72nd Spitfire was never really intended for someone like me. Having said that, even Airfix, for example, has realized that there's a lot of crazy people like me that will pay significant amounts of money for serious kits. But my point still stands that we can complain about things like the stickers and so on, but that's just one of those, what would I say, a mismatch in expectations often. I don't have any big complaints. Like I say, I think most of my problems here were really just about familiarity with subject matter. So I'm kind of just doing things at this point for the sake of it. The instructions are good, but it was just I'm not quite sure what I'm looking at. I couldn't tell you what these guns are called and all of those type of things, which I think makes a difference. Having said that, if you do get a chance, like I say, have a play with these. I've enjoyed watching some of those AI videos about Greg. So Greg the Stormtrooper, they've been fun. I'm sure some of you will know. If you don't know, have a look up on YouTube. And this one reminded me of that. So I was thinking, this is fixing up Greg. Got him out of the box. cleared another one out of the stash, which I've enjoyed, had fun with, and it's got me looking at some of the Dune boxes that I saw in the shop. So who knows what'll be coming. Dune's probably more my style. Anyway, there you go. That's a 112 Stormtrooper from Bandai. Superb kit, excellent tooling. Yeah, he'll go up on the shelf. If you're coming at it from Star Wars side, go get them. You'll love it. Easy to do. You don't need to be an expert modeler. If you're coming at it from the modeling side, yeah, do something different. You'll challenge yourself and yeah, pick up a few new skills. Thanks again. Hope you've enjoyed that one. Something different. See you next time.